Hey everyone, it's Jan here. You're watching Language Boost, and today I'm here in Antwerp, and I'm not alone this time.
Yes.
I'm here with Lucas, Lucas van Vive, and he's the writer of this book here. It's called Effortless Conversations, and in this book, Lucas talks about a learning technique to learn foreign languages. That's called chunking. So, Lucas,
Correct.
tell us a little bit about this whole chunking thing. What is it? How does it work?
So chunking, learning a language with chunking is a learning approach where you focus a lot on observing native speakers and reading and listening a lot, getting a lot of input and seeing how native speakers speak and then trying to speak the same way, as opposed to learning lots and lots of words and grammar rules, starting out like that. This is what most people do, or most people are taught to do.
Yeah.
But if you do that with words and grammar rules, you often still feel very, very clumsy in conversations. You feel like you're translating in your head, you're slow, don't feel natural. So the chunking method bypasses all that by going immediately to look at what native speakers say and then just saying the same thing.
Okay, and what is a chunk? Because the whole idea is basically that you break down the language in chunks,
Yeah.
right? So a chunk is not a word, it's not a sentence, it's
It's
what is
you could call it a phrase. It's basically a word combination that's used very, very often by native speakers. So often, in fact, that they don't even think about it as separate words anymore when they speak.
yeah.
Right? So they say things like in English it would be something like "by the way" or "call an election," or it's like a golden opportunity. You call a cab. All these things where it just rolls off the tongue. That's a chunk.
Instead of learning all the words separately, you
Yeah.
just learn the whole chunk.
Yeah,
Because that's how people use it.
Exactly, that's how it's in your brain as well. It's just a pattern you hear it so often and you say it so often that, it just rolls off the tongue. And this is what you want as well. And if you do that and you learn that way, then you can bypass grammar rules because you don't think about grammar rules in your mother tongue. You don't want to think about grammar rules when you speak. If you learn a chunk, you have these words together and you don't have to think within that chunk about the rules anymore.
Exactly. Sounds interesting. Now, my question is, where do you get this idea from? Is this something you came up with by yourself, or
It actually came from a frustration of mine, like I already told you about. I studied languages at university,
Yeah.
applied linguistics, translation, interpretation, and we learned all the grammar and all the words, a word list, hundreds of pages of words, and we couldn't speak.
Yeah.
And during my master's in interpretation, one of our professors was actually very fed up with that. He didn't like it at all how we spoke, and he told us then back then. I remember he said something like, when I created a sentence in German, he said, "Okay, Lucas, Germans would understand you, but is that really how they would say it themselves?"
Yeah.
And when he said that, I thought like, no, it's not. And then I thought, well, how can I know how native speakers speak themselves, right? And then of course it makes sense if you hear it this way, but most people don't think about it.
Yeah.
Just observe native speakers, just read and listen and say the same thing.
So instead of translating from your own language
Yeah.
into the target language, you observe the language,
Yeah.
the language that you're learning, you identify the chunks, and then you basically learn these chunks by heart and you try to use them in your conversations.
Exactly.
Is that how it works?
That's
Okay.
how it works, and there is a theory behind it, of course. It's in linguistics, it's called the lexical approach, and the chunks are called lexical chunks,
Yeah.
chunks of words together. Yeah.
Is this a technique that you would recommend for beginners, for intermediate learners, or for everyone? What's like the...
Everyone can do it. So if you're an intermediate learner, I found it especially helpful because that way you can really refine how you speak. Because if you're an intermediate learner, you can probably make yourself understood, but you don't feel entirely natural yet. You
Yeah.
don't feel like you speak like a native speaker. Learning with chunks that can really refine like how you speak, sound more natural. As a beginner, it can
Yeah.
also be super useful because that way you're much faster. I mean, you'll get to like natural speech much faster, right? It's not
Yeah.
about every single topic, but at least the chunks you learn will sound very natural already.
Yeah. So how does it work, like practically? What if I want to start chunking today? What do? I get a text with audio and...
Preferably, yeah. So the best way to start with chunking is finding conversations, finding dialogues, either written for language learners. You can find these. I offer courses where we offer dialogues. You have Asimil, you have a lot of places, podcasts as well.
Yeah.
Everywhere people speak. That's step one. Find that, then try to find these chunks in there. So try to identify all these things where you say, okay, I understand this, but I could have never said it myself that way.
Yeah.
If you think, oh, so that's how a native speaker would say it, then you found a good chunk.
Okay.
So that's the second step. Then the third step is memorizing that, of course, right? So
Yeah.
you need to find a way to imprint all these chunks on your brain. You can do that with flashcards, like in Language Boost. People do it. You can use memory techniques and so on. And then finally, you need to start using them yourself.
Cool. Well, guys, if you want to learn more about this whole chunking thing, how it works exactly, Lucas wrote a whole book about it. It's called Effortless Conversations, and you can get it on Amazon. Lucas also has a website which is effortlessconversations.com, right?
Exactly.
So that was it for today. I hope I managed to, well, make you guys curious about this method, and make sure you check it out. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions about this method,
just let us know in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer them as well.
Lucas will read the comments.
I'll be there.
Bye bye.
Bye.